And so next up, your guidance counselor, the Miss Corinne, that's her first name, guys. I don't know if you knew that. Miss Corinne Brookshire.
All right, hi everybody. I'm glad you're here because before I start, I just want to get something off my chest. And I figured the best way to deal with something that's bothering me is to put it out there in front of 600 of my closest friends, right? Am I right? Yep. So here's what happened. Last Friday, Mr. Colantonio, Mr. Gooley, and I were reminiscing about Chrome Room and the Water Bottle Challenge. And when Mr. Gooley asked me if I was at the party that Mrs. Burak had in the conference room last Thursday. He said a bunch of teachers were there laughing and having a great time, and it looked really lit. So I'm thinking, she's supposed to be my BFF and I don't get invited? She probably hates me. So that's it. I'm like, I'm done with her. So I went home and I posted on my Finsta, when you think you know someone and they stab you in the back. So Monday came around and I didn't want to do lunch duty with her. So I did what a lot of people do to avoid the CAF, hidden guidance. I eventually decided that the best thing to do was to roam the halls, trying to talk to as many people as possible about the situation. I made my way to the modulars first because they have the best water fountain. But it was like we weren't even speaking the same language. So I turned around and I walked away. Then I swung by the music room, but all I got was a song and dance, so I kept walking. I went upstairs. So I went upstairs and I ran into Miss Crimmins and Miss Fleming. And you know what? Come to think of it, I haven't seen Mrs. Vallejo around in a while. Someone said she's been home playing Fortnite or updating her YouTube channel or something like that. Anyway, they told me that everybody knew I was mad at Mrs. Burak. So I passed by Mr. Pruden and wondered if he knew anything. But all he said to me was, y equals mx plus b. So I kept walking. Then I saw Mrs. Corey, Mrs. Daniels, and Miss Napoli together down the hall, and it totally looked like they were talking about me. So now I'm wondering why my name was in their mouths. I was about to throw hands when when Mrs. Masciarelli said to me, you know what, try some calming down techniques from Second Step. So I counted backwards from 10, took a few deep breaths, and it really helped with my anger. So on the way back down the hallway, I noticed that Mr. Belcher's class was making slime, and I thought, haven't seen that in a couple years. Later on, I ran into Mr. Grosso in the copy room, and he told me that he heard Mrs. Burak ask Ms. Hogan to send her streaks. So now I was getting mad Aggie, and I wanted to keep up the energy. I wanted to keep up the energy, so after school I went on house party with Mr. Peary, Mrs. Murphy, and Mr. Dorian. And I started throwing some shade. That night, Mrs. Burak messaged me on my Snap and asked, why are you being so extra this week? So you know what I did? Left her on open. That'll show her. Yesterday, I caught up with Ms. Frasca and Mr. Proctor, who were chatting about the pros and cons of Vans versus Jordans. Ms. Frasca said to me, why don't you just ask Ms. Rondo what's going on? She's been here forever and knows all the tea. So I asked Ms. Rondo if it was true that Mrs. Burak had a big party in the conference room on Thursday and didn't invite me because she doesn't want to be friends with me anymore. Ms. Rondo said, what party? We were at a head teacher meeting. And Mrs. Burak was just saying to me that she couldn't wait to do scheduling with me this summer. And I said, are you sure? Ms. Rondo said, on dogs, bruh. So I knew it was going to be all okay. Long story short, I learned that it's best to find out the whole story first and not to make assumptions, which is also another good second step lesson. And when in doubt, use a stress ball or a fidget spinner. I'm so happy I was able to share that with all of you. Thank you for listening to a little bit of my life the past 3 years. A lot of tea was spilled in my office, and I'm very happy to have had the pleasure of spending time with and getting to know so many of you. I'm really going to miss you guys. Facts.
Invited guests and family members, we will have a translated version of that speech for all of you available down at the reception. If you do not speak Teenager 2019, we will translate it for you.